During a recent interview, controversial comedian and political commentator Bill Maher dropped a number of bombshells which destroy conservative and enlightened centrist talking points, including one, that conservatives engage in cancel culture, number two, that the extremism of the right makes it impossible to be charitable to them, and number three, that it is irrational and emotional to focus on the left when the right is so much more dangerous. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, so some of this isn't exactly a surprise, but for Bill Maher to say these things back to back to back in such a nonchalant way, in a way which, quite frankly, very often undermines his own positions and preoccupations, I thought was fascinating. And we'll start with the biggest one first. First clip I want to play, in which Bill Maher admits that it is irrational and emotional and illogical to be focusing on the left in today's politics when the right is objectively far worse.
Saying to Cheryl, I think, just before, that if you ask me who is the bigger danger to America, absolutely it's the right wing and Trumpers and people who don't believe in democracy, and just they're not even keeping it a secret anymore. They're not even saying that quietly. They're saying we don't believe in it. There was a CPAC convention this week talking about that. Many of them. I mean, it is really weird that they're shitting on democracy in America. Okay, to say nothing of where they are on the environment and lots of other issues, they are definitely the bigger threat. But who makes me want to punch you in the face more? That is often from the other side.
Interesting.
The people, the woke people, the cancel people, the how dare you think differently than I do, the people who love diversity of everything except thought and just don't want to breathe the same air as you if you don't agree with them, and won't to unfriend you, and just that bad attitude combined with some very bad, crazy ideas. You know, let's give communism another try and get rid of the police and all, you know, just really stupid ideas combined with a terrible attitude. That's Trump's appeal. He's a star who isn't afraid to, like, want to make those liberals cry their liberal tears. And I get that. You'll never get me voting for Trump. I rationally can see what's by far the worst choice, but I get it, and I certainly get the emotional appeal.
There you have it. All right, so this to me is an indictment, which is one I've always believed and tried to convey to other people as well, and I think any sane person would agree, that if you look on a rational basis, which side is more dangerous to the United States, it is just objectively the right. And Bill Maher, who has been accused by a number of people, myself included, into straying too much into enlightened centrism, he admits it. He's like, the right isn't just a little bit worse. They're far worse in this country, far more dangerous. And it's irrational, it's emotional, it's illogical to be focusing on the excesses of the left. And he admits it, that it elicits a visceral reaction in him, the excesses of the left. But he admits it's irrational, it's silly. So to me, for him to like just detonate his own enlightened centrist impulses and those of many others out there, it was just glorious. I love to see it. In this other clip, Bill Maher also talks about the effect of Donald Trump on media reporting. So again, this is where, you know, Bill Maher, he tries to, I don't know, express his enlightened centrist impulses where he believes that the media is supposed to be just straight down the middle, whatever that means, but admits that the extremism of the right under Donald Trump makes that impossible.
It became, because of Trump, an impossible job to be fair and down the middle, because Trump is so extreme. I remember at the beginning they tried to have Trump people on their panels. They had that Jeffrey Lord guy.
Jeffrey Lord, yeah, he was something.
And they had Kayleigh McEnany. And you know, it would be tough. It was hard to defend him, and so it's like, well, we want to have balance, and look, that does expose how crazy Trump is and how wrong I think his people are to follow him so blindly. I mean, he is, as I always try to point out, both crazy and stupid, and that's a tough combination to deal with.
It is a tough combination to deal with, but again, it's fascinating to see Bill Maher's like his mindset just kind of unravel in real time. And I say that, not insulting him. He's being very forthright about this. His instinct is to create this artificial balance between both political sides. It makes him comfortable. And a lot of people are comfortable in that respect. That's the enlightened centrist view. But it lends itself to false equivalences. And this isn't the first time that Bill Maher has found himself fighting that impulse. If you look at his show, if you follow Real Time with Bill Maher, which I used to do, he complains about false equivalences. He exposes false equivalences. But then, kind of paradoxically, he very often contributes to false equivalences as well, because he'll focus on, something stupid that, this Twitter personality happened to say, which he finds is too woke, which, annoying though it may be, shouldn't you also be annoyed by the objectively greater threat imposed on the right? You should. And so he says, basically in the age of Trump, the right has gotten so out of whack that it's impossible to create that artificial balance without, lending itself to absurdity. And it's true. And this is part of the reason why I reject that in the media. And we see it all the time in the media where they want like, oh my God, I don't want to be tarred and feathered as a liberal democratic shill. So, sure, Biden or sure, Trump is a fascist, but Biden's really old, forgetting that Trump is also old and prone to the same sort of malapropisms and gaffes and everything else that Biden is. But you've got to create some sort of artificial balance. And I love the fact that he exposes that, it is impossible to have the sort of balance that Maher and other enlightened centrists have in today's political environment without lying, without creating an artificial balance, without indulging in false equivalence. I just love that admission. Then here in this last clip I'm going to play, Bill Maher also drops a bombshell. I say a bombshell because, again, enlightened centrists just don't want to believe it. Conservatives don't want to believe it, about cancel culture. Bill Maher complains about cancel culture all the time, but he gives a fact check here, a reality check to those who think that this is exclusively the province of the left.
Him a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Now, you're very tough on the left, I would say, for the culture of censorship and criticism of free speech.
Absolutely.
Do you think that's uniquely a problem on the left, or
no?
No.
You mean like cancel culture?
Yeah.
I think the last show we did, I ended with something on cancel culture, and it mentioned a whole bunch of people who were canceled. And
I mean, you were talking about Bud Light earlier.
Yeah, Bud Light, but I mean, no one was ever canceled harder than Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
So it can, Kathy Griffin, me.
Politically incorrect. I think you offended Ari Fleischer.
Offended a lot of people.
So yeah, again, as I've pointed out in previous videos, Bill Maher himself is a victim of right-wing cancel culture. Now, you can say in your perception that those impulses are more manifest now on the left, but again, simply not true. The history of the right, from the era of George W. Bush, the cancellation of Bill Maher, the cancellation of the Dixie Chicks, more recent examples under Trump, the cancellation of Colin Kaepernick, attempts to cancel Bud Light and the NFL and Target and Gillette, all the way back, if you want to go to the McCarthy era, in the situation with the Red Scare. Cancel culture pervades the DNA of the right. This is something that knows no political alignment. It is the impulse of groups to try to socially and reputationally and politically punish those whom they believe are operating outside the norm. So I love, again, the fact that Bill Maher, the ultimate anti-cancel culture crusader, admits, no, this is, even though I think right now, in his opinion, that it is more prevalent on the left, it is not exclusive to the left. And if the right got its hands on the levers of power again, they would happily, cancel their opponents as well. And they even try to do so now. So I love the fact that he just carpet bombed the conservative and enlightened centrist political worldview, as we try to do here on the channel. It's stupid. It's bad faith. It's dishonest. At the end of the day, it's simply objectively the case here in the United States that the MAGA movement, the Republican Party, are just objectively worse than the Democratic Party and the political left. Let me know what you think in the comments.